Tonight, calls for a national inquiry from former Canadian athletes telling devastating stories of abuse.
With every passing day, there are more children who are placed into these environments.
Demands that lawmakers realize enough is enough. Questions about what the government is doing for Canadians caught in Sudan.
I didn't get any response. It was really worthless, like nothing.
Fox News mystery, why the host of its biggest hit is gone from the network.
I don't see any reason to believe that somebody else isn't just going to come in and fill the void that Tucker Carlson is leaving.
What might come next for Tucker Carlson?
This is The National with Ian Hennemansi.
Canadian athletes, including children, face mental and physical abuse in organized sport that needs to be investigated. That is the urgent message gaining momentum tonight after some powerful testimony, mostly from women. They describe the emotional and physical mistreatment they say they've suffered and how that trauma can haunt them to this day. One athlete told MPs the status quo makes her ashamed to be Canadian. As Catherine Cullen shows us, they say the government's failure to call an inquiry puts more athletes in jeopardy.
It's exceptional for politicians to applaud committee witnesses, but these athlete stories are extraordinarily painful. Soccer player Ciara McCormack described leaving Canada out of fear after calling out abuse by former coach Bob Berardi.
Today, Berardi sits in jail convicted of sex crimes against 4 former teenage players.
Fencer Emily Mason says she faced bullying and abuse.
When I left the sport when I was 17, I was a broken individual. I was in a mental health crisis. I attempted suicide. I was seeing a mental health professional.
Olympic boxer Miriam De Silva Rondeau says her trauma means she suffers from dissociation and can't recall key moments of her life.
Neither my Olympic qualification, neither my Olympic participation. I have no recall of the best souvenir of my life that it's supposed to be.
Like many athletes who testified before, they know what they want.
I think we really need this national inquiry.
With every passing day, there are more children who are placed into these environments, more children who are experiencing the same things that we have and continue to every single day that a national inquiry is not called.
McCormack has been here before, in December, before a different committee.
How we were gaslit and harmed repeatedly.
Now, she's at a loss.
I don't understand what's holding back a national inquiry. You just wonder, is she even watching? Is the Minister of Sport watching? I just feel ashamed, honestly, to be a Canadian, that this is the reality of what it means and the response to being a Canadian athlete.
The minister says she's looking at how an investigation should work.
My goal is to have an environment that sport participants can testify and share their experiences and their recommendations in a safe and trauma-informed way.
So, Catherine, what are the issues holding back an inquiry?
Well, first of all, Minister St-Onge is not actually committing to an inquiry, only some kind of investigation. She says it has to address sport at not just the national level, but the provinces and territories too, where so many play, and it has to be trauma-informed. St-Onge couldn't say today, Ian, when we would learn what her plans are, only that it will be soon.
Thanks, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Fox News and Tucker Carlson have suddenly parted ways. While controversial, Carlson hosted one of the highest-rated shows on U.S. cable news. And as Paul Hunter explains, that's driving more speculation about the reason for the split.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Loved and reviled Tucker Carlson, massively influential and for Fox News, a mega moneymaker. Not anymore.
We have some news from within our Fox family. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways.
There were no other details, but it's just days since Fox News settled that giant lawsuit for spreading falsehoods the 2020 election was rigged, with evidence Carlson and others knew that was wrong, and that Carlson has told colleagues he hates Donald Trump, even while publicly friendly with him, recently asking him about his time in court this month.
You were there, I think, 57 minutes. Tell us from your perspective what that was like. Well, it was a horrible thing.
But it's Carlson's commentary broadly that riles most. Critics call him a xenophobic, misogynistic spreader of conspiracy theories, including that the January 6th rioting was, in fact, quote, mostly peaceful chaos. Some reacted to his demise like this.
Word has just come down that Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways.
Still, Carlson's program was embraced by millions, not least, it seemed, near endless prominent Republicans. Say Carlson critics, he may now be gone, but the extreme right-wing programming at Fox News will continue.
I don't see any reason to believe that somebody else isn't just going to come in and fill the void that Tucker Carlson is leaving. And that's why it's so important to remain vigilant to these threats and not to think that because Tucker Carlson doesn't have his primetime slot anymore, that somehow things are going to get better.
We'll be back.
Where Carlson goes now is unclear. Last week, he signed off for the final time, apparently unaware.
And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, have the best weekend with the ones that you love, and we'll see you then.
And Paul, are we hearing anything about what's going on here?
Look, I hate to say it, Ian, but it's all still just guesswork. There are some who point to another lawsuit against Fox News brought by a former female producer on Carlson's show, alleging, among other things, a toxic work environment. There are Carlson texts that came out in that defamation lawsuit in which he slammed some of his bosses. Rarely does that kind of thing bring job security. But the precise reason for what happened is indeed still a question mark.
And of course, everyone's waiting to hear from Tucker Carlson himself.
Nothing from him. There is reporting tonight Carlson himself found out only minutes ahead of the announcement. So read into that what you will. It is all still a mystery, Ian, at least for now.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Fox isn't the only network making big changes tonight. After 17 years, Don Lemon says he's been fired by CNN. Lemon took a parting blow at his former employer, saying the company went through his agent and lacked the decency to talk to him directly. CNN says that statement isn't accurate, and he was offered a meeting. This comes after a controversial stretch for Lemon, including when he suggested women in their 50s are no longer in their prime. Tonight, a tense calm in Sudan after a U.S. and Saudi Arabia brokered ceasefire came into effect. It's the first real break in the fighting since it began more than a week ago. The aim to help get humanitarian aid into the country. And Evan Dyer shows us it also comes as efforts ramp up to get civilians out.
Foreigners are fleeing Sudan by air, land, and sea. This Saudi Navy ship took citizens from 13 countries across the Red Sea to safety. EU diplomats and representatives of Spain, France, Germany, Italy, Sweden, and Switzerland all made it out.
It has been a complex operation, and it has been a successful operation.
And European countries have also started evacuations for ordinary citizens. This German Air Force plane brought out 58 Canadians.
We have a C-17 in the region too, and we will be airlifting as well.
Canada is aware of about 1,500 citizens in Sudan, but the true number is thought to be higher. But there's no confirmation from the government that Canadian planes have entered Sudanese airspace. The foreign minister wrote a tweet telling Canadians in Sudan to register. This man did just that.
And by the time escalating, going the next day, I made another call, and the third day I make another call.
Meanwhile, fighting was getting more intense.
I didn't get any response. It was really worthless, like nothing. They just told you to hide and stay in a safe place.
With food and water running out, Mohammed decided to go it alone, reaching Egypt after a perilous 3-day journey.
There are two potential land routes, but they both involve drives of over 800 kilometers.
Canada's first resident diplomat in Khartoum also oversaw an evacuation from South Sudan in 2013. He says the fact the internet keeps cutting out can only complicate things.
You really can't get much of an evacuation going if you can't talk to your citizens and give them points of assembly and so on.
The airport is close to the Canadian embassy, but it's heavily damaged, and both sides have been fighting to control it. So a bigger evacuation probably depends on securing a safer airstrip. And that depends on whether the midnight ceasefire holds. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
And later in the program, I'll speak with Hisham Mohammed, the man you saw in Evan's story. on his escape from Sudan. We'll also talk to a doctor still in Khartoum treating the sick and injured, even as hospitals become targets in the fighting. That is coming up. Ottawa has unveiled its changes to the law protecting Canada's air passengers. It says it's closing the loopholes that let airlines off the hook for compensation. Sophia Harris has more.
When this couple flew to Rome last summer, their Air Canada flight was delayed by about 6 hours.
Exhausting day after our night of travel.
3 family members on their flight each got $400 compensation. So the couple expected to get cash too. But Air Canada rejected their claim, stating their delay was safety related.
I felt confused. It seems like the onus is on me to try and prove why we should be compensated versus Air Canada, bearing the burden of proof.
Now, the transport minister says that's going to change.
It will no longer be the passenger who will have to prove that he or she is entitled to compensation. It will now be the airline that will need to prove that it does not have to pay for it.
Thousands of passengers have filed complaints with the Canadian Transportation Agency, claiming they've been wrongly denied compensation. The minister says he's closing the loopholes airlines have used to deny claims.
Everyone would be entitled to compensation except for a clear list of exceptions.
The proposed changes also include stricter rules for missing baggage and maximum fines increased to $250,000 for airline violations. The new rules could result in higher airfares and don't address the root causes of flight delays, says this industry spokesperson.
There were some real missed opportunities here to improve the overall air travel system, which is what passengers care most about.
As for Bruce Gorman, he's still frustrated. Air Canada told CBC News it stands by its compensation denial. Gorman filed a complaint with the CTA, but it has a backlog of 45,000 grievances.
That's been roughly 5 months since we filed that claim.
The proposed changes also include a plan to speed up the complaints process. Ottawa says the amendments will take effect at the earliest opportunity. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Picketing public service workers are escalating their strike action.
The people united will never be defeated.
PSAC says its members have begun focusing on hampering access to ports like this one in BC. There were also demonstrations at several government buildings across the country. It is the 6th day of the strike by more than 100,000 workers. The two sides are still negotiating, and the union says they have been making progress. A national transit group has released a plan to help calm the violence that's been plaguing transit systems in some cities. As Renee Filipponi tells us, the call is for more security and for more mental health support.
Richard Griever's fear of taking transit has grown in recent weeks.
Before, I wouldn't have paid any attention to anybody, but now suddenly I feel like I need to look at somebody, just am I safe with you around me, sort of thing.
He wants to see more police on transit.
Have an officer on there just in case every now and then. I think that would help me feel a bit better.
Over the last few months, there have been multiple assaults and stabbings on transit systems in major Canadian cities, some fatal.
Violence has absolutely no place in Canada's transit systems.
Now a safety task force made up of transit operators is calling for action, including hiring more security officers and making them more visible on transit.
We also need to ensure that regulations and bylaws are in place that give police officers or special constables the ability to curb dangerous and unlawful behavior.
Transit enforcement has been stepped up in cities hit by violence, but for frontline workers, it's still not enough to make them feel safe.
But actions speak louder than words, and there's no time to waste in getting everyone around the table as soon as possible, because this is a crisis.
The task force also says governments on all levels need to do more to address issues like homelessness, substance abuse, and mental health.
A stranger came and she hit me on the head with a bottle. It required, stitches.
4 months ago, Julia Ratty was randomly attacked on Toronto's subway. She says just adding more police won't solve the problem.
I think the attacks on transit are very much a symptom of a larger sort of social problem. And so when we can take a longer view and see if we can help our fellow citizens, then we do better going forward.
Riders and staff all on board for change with the growing push to tackle violence and make commuting safer. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Hundreds of women's shelters in Canada are facing some difficult choices. Extra money they received from Ottawa during the pandemic has now run out. The shortfall comes during what's been called an epidemic of domestic violence. Marina von Stackelberg explains.
This women's shelter and more than 600 across Canada saves lives.
I was fleeing abuse, and at the same time I was homeless in my own reserve. And I came here and I didn't know anybody, just one person.
Anne Wesley now works here.
I know what these ladies are going through because I was one of them.
As violence against women rose in the pandemic, the federal government provided $300 million to fight it. Nearly half went to shelters like these. But now that money is set to dry up.
The funding that we've gotten during COVID has alleviated suffering. And the absence of it will mean that there will be suffering.
Shelters use the money to hire extra staff, renovate facilities, provide programming like childcare, and help with basic needs like food and medicine.
We've been able to buy clothing for women who've had to flee and had nothing but flip-flops and a pair of pajamas on when they got here.
On average, each shelter received just over $100,000 extra a year. Money they say is still needed, even as the pandemic wanes.
The recovery for women in terms of healing, in terms of family law and navigating the systems is far from over.
As of now, Ottawa has no plan to continue the funding.
I will not say at this point that I won't extend funding. I think these are decisions that are being made, but I will say and continue to say to the organizations that we've had their back.
Women's shelters get most of their money from the provincial and territorial governments.
It's enough to maybe keep their lights on and keep the building functioning. These shelters are always underfunded.
Unlike most federal grants, this extra money from Ottawa was seen as vital because shelters could use it for their daily operations.
It was a recognition that the work you're doing is life-saving. You don't have to come up with a new and innovative way of doing it.
This funding is being cut despite recommendations from the inquiry into the mass shooting in Nova Scotia. It calls domestic violence an epidemic that requires pandemic-level funding. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Less than 2 weeks before his coronation, there are signs Charles may have a challenge winning over Canadians. A new poll from the Angus Reid Institute suggests most people in this country are opposed to him as king. Thomas Dagla on the slipping support for the monarchy itself.
With a 21-gun salute on Parliament Hill next week, Canada will celebrate King Charles's coronation. The federal government has even released this official Canadian coronation emblem to underline the historic nature of the big day. All this despite most Canadians seemingly now opposed to honoring Britain's monarch as Canada's king.
Maybe it should go to somebody who has actually made a difference in Canada.
It's about time we rethink some of the assumptions we made earlier on, because this is 2023.
An Angus Reid Institute poll suggests 60% of Canadians don't support recognizing Charles as king by swearing oaths to him, putting his face on currency, and recognizing Charles as head of state.
The royal family represents an institution that Canadians just don't really have much of a connection to, one that they view as something rather outdated.
Advocates for a Canadian republic are now formally calling for a referendum to cut direct ties with the monarchy. They point to Germany's president as an example of an elected head of state who is separate from the head of government.
Canadians have gradually been coming around to the idea that it's an indignity to Canada to have a head of state who lives on another continent, in a castle, who isn't Canadian.
But unlike Barbados, which dumped the British monarch without a formal vote, constitutional experts here insist Canada would need the approval of MPs, senators, and all provinces.
It's the strongest amending formula that has to be used, which is pretty daunting.
Plus, the federal government has reiterated any potential change to the relationship with the monarchy is not a priority. Instead, Ottawa is planning music and a special postage stamp to mark next week's coronation. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, Toronto.
As surgery wait lists grow in Canada, more provinces are turning to the private sector, but at what cost?
So even on the efficiency side, we don't see an advantage at all.
New numbers give an idea of the bill for taxpayers. Next. Looking for clues to a human smuggling tragedy.
What happened didn't deter anyone. It's still going on within the community of Akwesasne.
Jorge Barrera takes us to an Indigenous community with a history on the water. And a little later, a symbol of a city under constant construction. I've got cones. Why the Quebec government is cracking down on Montreal's famous orange cones. We're back in 2. This is an American Airlines flight just after takeoff from Columbus, Ohio, when a bird was sucked into the engine. Plane was able to land without anyone getting hurt. And that same day, in an unrelated incident, another American Airlines plane burst into flames on the tarmac in Charlotte, North Carolina. No injuries there either, but also no clear cause. There's new evidence tonight about the downside of using private facilities for publicly funded surgeries. As Christine Burak shows us, it turns out the same procedure could come with a drastically different price tag.
According to the Quebec government's own data, surgeries performed at private for-profit clinics cost taxpayers 1.5 to 3 times more than in the public system.
And the result is quite clear. It can be, it is way more expensive.
From 2016 to 2020, Quebec ran a pilot project in 3 private for-profit Montreal clinics to figure out if they were more efficient. The findings were never publicly shared. But through a Freedom of Information request, researchers with an independent nonprofit found for all 5 procedures tested, costs were higher in private settings. In 2019, a short colonoscopy cost nearly $740. In the public system, it was under $300. Data also showed the public system was able to bring down the costs of most procedures over time, while costs in private clinics mostly increased.
Even on the efficiency side, we don't see an advantage at all to these private clinics.
In response, the Quebec Health Minister's office said the data is a few years old and the costs of the private sector do not include the same elements as the public. The for-profit clinics argued public institutions do not include building renovation and equipment depreciation costs.
I would take that with a grain of salt. I think we do know.
Health policy experts say hospital costs are generally fixed because the infrastructure already exists, while private clinics are duplicating services, taking staff from public hospitals, and charging more to make a profit.
I think it's really a concern.
Longhurst says Quebec and other provinces simply aren't making healthcare decisions based on evidence.
It does raise some profound questions about whether governments are serving and acting in the public interest or whether they are acting in the interest of corporations and investors.
And Christine, Quebec isn't the only province planning to use more private clinics.
Yes, we've seen other provinces, including Ontario, saying it wants to expand private for-profit care. Ontario's premier said he wants to follow the best ideas from across the country. It's just not clear what the best ideas are. We all know the healthcare system needs to change. Some surgeons are in favor of these clinics, but others will tell you there's little to no evidence that this model is the way to go. And if the goal is to reduce wait times for everyone, if you look at Canadian data, Quebec has some of the longest wait times for typical surgeries, including hip and knee replacements. We spent a lot of time digging into whether private for-profit care is cheaper, safer, and faster, and we've posted some of our findings on the National's Instagram page.
All right, Christine, thank you.
You're welcome.
As the situation in Sudan deteriorates, many countries, including Canada, are scrambling to get their citizens out. Coming up, we'll hear from a Canadian who got out and a surgeon who's still there, struggling to treat patients. And an Indigenous community coming to grips with human smuggling on its waterways.
So this is an old story in many ways.
It is. It's old and it's sad. It's part of Akwesasne.
Jorge Barrera talks to community members after a shocking tragedy. The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping our world. Next. What shocked many about Sudan is how fast things have unraveled over the past 10 days. Jets bombing the capital, streets engulfed in fighting, buildings burning, and hospitals attacked. As you heard again tonight, to stay means danger and deprivation. But getting out is also a struggle. We've reached two people who have seen firsthand the danger and chaos. And let's start with Hisham Mohammed, a Canadian who has managed to get to Cairo, Egypt. That's about 1,200 kilometers away from Khartoum. And Hisham, first of all, describe for us what it was like getting across the border out of Sudan into Egypt.
Okay, it was a very difficult, a dangerous journey that I had to go through, because Khartoum is right now is like a war zone. There's a rapid force and the Sudanese military is fighting, and gunshot is everywhere. I see on my way to Cairo, on the street, a lot of dead bodies, even in old time, when I was crossing the bridge from Khartoum north to Omdurman. It's just like shooting on each other. So we had to take shelter, and after that, you know, I saw that body that there was still smoke coming out of them. So we passed that on, and we move, and then we have to take a safe place. It's quite dangerous to live in Khartoum right now.
You still have family members who are in Khartoum. Are they going to get out? What's going to happen to them?
Yes. We put like a plan for them, and they are in a move, coming here towards the border. It's a really challenge, especially with family, women, and kids. It's a quiet journey. It's going to be for them.
What would you like to see Canada do?
I really like to see Canada, like, you know, first of all, helping the people and the Canadian Sudanese. They are stuck in Khartoum, to put a plan to evacuate them to here. Secondly, I would like from them, especially the Canadian Red Crescent, once you cross the border here, there's nothing out there for these people. There's no food, no drink. And people, like, you know, coming here, they leaving everything behind, they just coming with themselves. So if they can find help here in the border, that will be a great thing. And even if the Canadian can open, you know, kind of visas, stuff like that for our families, if we can take them to Canada, that would be a great thing.
Hisham Mohammed, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's bring in someone now who's still in Khartoum. Al-Aldin Nugud is a surgeon. And doctor, thanks for speaking with us. Let's start with your hospital. You sent us some pictures. Describe for us briefly what happened to that hospital.
All the health system is collapsed. We are in continuous war. My hospital was bombed by 3 bombs in the wards and 1 in the nurse hostels, where it started to have a fire. And we were forced to evacuate the hospital from all patients and from the health cadre. People's health cadre in the hospitals are there since the 15th of April without shifting, without change, because of the continuous fire. They get exhausted. The supplies and medical consumables are out of order, out of the store. Even the blood banks and blood services are collapsing. Increased number of injured and dead patients. Up to now, there is 273 dead and 1,579 injured, and a lot of dead bodies of soldiers and perhaps civilians in the streets, and they start to decompose, and this will make a very challenging, hazardous health situation.
What's it like outside?
Yeah, it's difficult unless fire is a little bit down. People cannot go out of the of home to get the groceries. The groceries, even the store is coming down. There is no powder milk for children. There is a deficiency of many of the goods in the groceries. Really, it's a bad situation that Sudan is passing right now because of this war. We call all the humans, all the humanitarian, all the people, international communities to call to stop the war. In the majority of areas, yes, I think because of the much pressure of the international community and evacuation of many of the international delegates, it will be respectable.
Okay, Doctor, thank you very much for speaking with us, and hopefully we can check in with you again.
Thank you.
All right, after the recent deaths of migrants trying to cross the St. Lawrence River, there are questions about human smuggling in a First Nations community.
You see how much water is going to hit them? Yeah. There's no island to block them. There's nothing there, right? So something happened. Maybe the water came over the back of the boat.
Coming up, Jorge Barrera looks to the past and the present for answers. This Akwesasne territory straddles the Canada-U.S. border, making it a land of opportunity for smugglers. But when the cargo is human lives and tragedy strikes, then it's time to shed light on some of the secrets hidden in these waters. Tonight, as Jorge Barrera follows the ill-fated path of two migrant families, he's guided by members of this Indigenous territory. They reveal how their community is locked in tension with an illegal industry forged by history.
To be that desperate to step into a boat during a storm is just almost incomprehensible.
People are going to cross, and they're going to take those women and those children and those men. They're going to bring them across, and there's going to be more tragedies here.
You know, it's just the way of life. It isn't really, you don't think of it as illegal here. It's just another way to make money, to make a living. That's the way I look at it.
I think we have to deal with this. We have to come up with some solution for it.
Boarding a boat to retrace the path of an ill-fated journey across the cold waters of the St. Lawrence, guided by an Akwesasne man who once smuggled contraband across the river. His name is Darren George. We've agreed not to show his face because of the stigma associated with smuggling. He knows how quickly the river can turn deadly.
So they probably came through there, went down there, and they had to flip in here someplace if they were screaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where they would have...
Oh, yeah. You see how much water is going to hit them?
Yeah.
There's no island to block them. There's nothing there, right? So something happened. Maybe the water came over the back of the boat, the big waves.
He says the 8 recent deaths in these waters should never have happened.
The wind's just pushing them around, right? You're not going to live in this more than 15, 20 minutes. But at night like that, you're not going to have police out here either. Yeah. So that's why you do push it.
2 families, 1 Indian, 1 Romanian, with 2 Canadian children, pushed out into these waters from Cornwall Island in the late evening of March 29th, hoping to slip into the U.S. through smuggling routes developed over generations by the people of Akwesasne. They never made it. Their small boat capsized. Casey Oakes, the Akwesasne man connected to the human smuggling attempt, is missing. And the river still hides much of what happened that March night.
This river has a lot of secrets, eh?
Too many. A lot of them you don't want to know. Yeah, crazy. But it's a way of life. Like you said, it's not always just being smuggling. We beaver hunt, we muskrat hunt, everything out here, fish. So it does everything. It's a way of life.
Darren's brother is Doug George Ganandio. He lives a very different life as a journalist and cultural consultant.
There's no family that has been untouched by smuggling. My uncle used to smuggle alcohol for the Kennedy family in Boston. This was the main conduit for it, and that's a given part of our history. And it's not a good part of our history. It's an embarrassing part of our history.
History shaped by geography and colonial geopolitics, making Akwesasne unique in North America.
The singular issue here that you'll see virtually everybody at Akwesasne talk about when it comes to smuggling is that this is a problem made by Britain and the United States and then Canada.
Akwesasne is one territory cut in two by the imposed Canada-US border. A band council oversees its island district in Ontario and its Quebec islands and mainland. The rest in New York State is administered by a separate tribal council.
So the smuggling, the illegal transportation of goods across that border started almost from the time that border was established and set in place after the War of 1812.
Smuggling corridors then form through cracks between jurisdictions.
And so the smugglers take advantage of that. You have people on that river with high-powered boats exploiting people's their desperation. And that's what we have to live with, and that creates a kind of really crazy tension on this community.
Darren George says greed adds to the danger of human smuggling.
So you're saying that, you know, to save money, people are using people who shouldn't be doing it?
Shouldn't be doing it, exactly. Hell yeah. Yeah, yes. Taking advantage of somebody's on drugs or somebody's drunk or somebody this, somebody that, yeah.
And that's happening.
Definitely. That happens a lot, all the time. Why should I give you $1,000? I can get it him for $200, and he'll do it.
Yeah.
We need him. Maybe they said we need them across tonight. I don't care what the weather is. Here's $1,000, and he'll do it.
There's a whole list of young men who died on the river.
Marjorie Skitters is the editor of Indian Time, the local weekly newspaper. She says the community still carries scars from cross-river smuggling of cigarettes that pushed Akwesasne into the national spotlight in the 1990s.
So this is an old story in many ways.
It is. It's old and it's sad. It's part of Akwesasne. And now the job has become to move humans, to move people.
But Skitters says there is part of the community overlooked by the outside world.
We still practice our ceremonies. We still go to the longhouse. We still have our songs and our dances. We have that, and we hold it strong and close to us. And we do everything we can to make that flourish. That we are a vibrant Ganyanke Haga community here.
Traditions thrive here. Children learn their language and how their people taught the world about maple syrup. Family bonds run strong, but these human smuggling networks, often with ties to organized crime, bring fear and danger to the community.
There's a fear. If I were to say, I saw somebody coming off a boat a mile down the river and call it in, would they come after me? I think that's the fear. There's a fear, a personal safety fear. We know this is larger than ourselves, larger than Akwesasne.
Doug George Ganandio believes there is one solution that can stop smuggling on the river.
We want to be governed by one singular Mohawk Nation Council. And the solution is immediate and it's obvious. Empower the Mohawks to have the unilateral jurisdiction to control this type of activity. Right now we don't.
On the river, cross-water traffic is again resuming its clandestine movements as the nation's attention begins to recede and the shock of 8 deaths begin to fade.
What happened didn't deter anyone. It's still going on within the community of Akwesasne. And I think it's going on daily. And I think it continues to happen in broad daylight throughout the community.
And Jorge is back in Ottawa tonight. Tell us, what can law enforcement do about this?
Well, this is probably one of the most heavily policed regions north of the U.S.-Mexico border. You know, on the Canadian side, we have the RCMP, the Ontario Provincial Police, Quebec Provincial Police, Canada Border Services Agency. On the U.S. side, you have Homeland Security, U.S. Border Patrol, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, New York State Police, Drug Enforcement Administration. Add to that, you have the Akwesasne Mohawk Police patrolling the Canadian side of the community, and the St. Regis Mohawk Police patrolling the U.S. side of the community. There is no shortage of law enforcement agencies, bumping up into each other's jurisdictions and agendas. You know, we have internal Canadian government documents going back 30 years with law enforcement discussing these issues and not knowing what to do about them. So what about the idea from Doug George Ganandio about uniting Akwesasne under one Indigenous government to control the river? Well, as far as we know, no government on either side of the border has considered this option. Ian?
All right, Jorge, thank you. Coming up, these orange cones are almost everywhere you look in Montreal. Why the Quebec government has decided it's all a bit too much. Plus,
however unbelievable it feels to you, it feels twice as unbelievable to me.
So strong he doesn't even know his own strength. For the first time ever, the world's strongest man is a Canadian, and he's in our moment. It has become a quintessential feature along Montreal roadways. Orange construction cones block traffic, disturb pedestrians, and are often left to languish for weeks. Now, as Sarah Levitt shows us, the Quebec government says it's time to get tough.
They're impossible to miss and quite the source of frustration, but they're also kind of loved.
I've got cones.
Montreal is known for its construction cones, thousands and thousands of them, transformed into characters like Ponto, the cute little cartoon cone, and into keychains sold at St. Joseph's Oratory. Cute, yes, but it's the visceral hatred the real cones elicit that has the province saying enough is enough.
Road work will still be there, but it will be better coordination, less visible, less aggressive, and perhaps less orange cones everywhere all the time.
Quebec's Transportation Ministry says as of June, if a construction site is inactive for more than 72 hours, the cones will be removed. It's also looking at replacing the larger ones with more svelte versions at certain sites. This after a study found 94% of downtown Montreal streets were either partially or totally closed for construction in the past 12 months.
There's way too many and they're too big. And you know, we should not be treated as a region. This is Montreal, this is an international city. We deserve, you know, to have a cleanliness, a fluidity.
What do you think of this? No comment. What about you? No? What's it like to be both loved and hated?
A lot of people knows Montreal for the cones. So.
For this real estate agent, though, it's actually less about the cones and more about the slow construction work.
See a lot of orange cones here, but people, I don't know if you see someone working right now. I mean, I see no one for at least 1 week who works here.
Others wonder how a 72-hour limit will actually be applied.
I have logistical questions around that, like, okay, you're going to move them and put them where?
Out of sight, the province hopes. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, one thing's for sure, this man would be able to carry a whole lot of orange cones, maybe a concrete barrier as well. Yesterday, Ontario's Mitchell Hooper became the first Canadian to be crowned the world's strongest man. After turning pro just 1 year ago, Hooper, who's known as the Moose in the strongman community, lifted the Canadian flag to the top of the podium. His achievement is our moment.
It's just very simple. Lift heavy, be kind. So this is the Barry Frank Trophy, and that's given to the strongest man in the world at the World's Strongest Man competition, and that's what I won this past weekend in Myrtle Beach. I like to think of it as movements of everyday life taken to the extreme. We did a log press, a loading race, kettlebell, then we went on to do deadlift. Then in the finals, we did the shield carry, the fingerless fingers, the bus pull, which we pulled a 40,000-pound coach bus and wrapped it up with the Atlas stones, which is what everyone knows to be world's strongest man. They call me the Moose. They call me that because moose are big and exist in Canada. So I'm the first Canadian to bring home the World's Strongest Man trophy. I hope just to inspire a few more people to get out there and move and live a little bit of healthier life.
World's strongest man is Mitchell Hooper!
But to be able to do that in front of the people that I love in that moment, and that's what meant the most to me.
So two things I want to say. First of all, he is not a one-dimensional athlete. I was reading that he is a top-level golfer and a marathon runner, as well as obviously a strongman. The other thing is when you heard that he was the first Canadian ever to become the world's strongest man, Some of you probably had the same thought I did. Remember Louis Cyr, or at least reading about Louis Cyr, a great Canadian strongman from many decades ago? One of his achievements, lifting with a single arm 313 pounds with one arm. So that was before the title, but still another very strong Canadian. That is the National for April 24th. Have a good night.